Back when I started my YouTube shenanigans a couple years ago, this is what my setup used to look like, and at the time it was the best friggin' thing ever. But I was super fortunate because fast forward 1600 or so days, and this is what my setup looks like today. Maybe that intro was a little too dramatic, but hopefully it was as good as it was in my mind. Now, honestly though guys, the purpose of this video is to give you guys a straight to the point desk and studio setup tour, the one that I'm using right now, and every item you see here is one that I'm using day in and day out, and maybe even give you guys some inspiration of your own. With that said, every single item I'm going to talk about today will have a link in the video description below, so if you are interested in it, fret not, you can find it right there. And if you want to skip to a specific subsection of this video, or if you're interested in a certain type of items, I've kind of pre-categorized this video using the chapters below. You can navigate to any section that you want to, so let's get started. Starting with my desks, and that's right, I ended that with an S because I've essentially got two of them, starting with my productivity hub, the FlexiSpot E5 Pro desk. This thing is about 60 inches long and 30 inches deep, which gives me more than enough surface real estate to keep all my hardware and then some. That dark tone finishing on the wood is amazing. That is a solid 1.5 inch of solid wood desktop right there. Love the quality on this thing. I've had it for about a year and the mechanical functions continue to work as well as it did on day one, so no complaints there either. I honestly think I'll be using this thing for the years to come. It is aging so darn gracefully. This recent addition right here is the Odin Lake S450 standing desk. Let's start with the best part. This thing is super easy to install and assemble. I'm not very handy. In fact, I'm quite terrible at it, but it took me no more than 15 minutes, which is quite the record for someone like myself, dare I say. Anyway, once you install this thing, it's got such a majestic look. I went with the wood theme finish over here. There are about 3 other colors you can choose from. It's got that subtle glaze. The lighting here lands so perfectly. It's ideal for my B-roll shots, which is primarily what I use this desk for. I also like the fact that you do have 2 cutouts for cable management on either corner, but you can seal them up with the included black lids if you don't want to use them. Did I mention this is a standing desk, by the way? That's right. It's got 3 memory profiles. It also has dual motor setup, which means it's very quiet but also very powerful. And yes, the best part is this thing was perfect for my room. It has a measurement for this particular size at 24 inches deep and about 47 inches long, which is exactly the capacity I had between my other desk and the wall. So honestly, this thing is a miracle by every standard of the word, and it's also quite light on the wallet, so it's one of the more budget-friendly standing desks that you can get right now. Right next to my desk, I also installed some wood paneling, and I opted to go with the wood veneer hub, and this is the walnut color, I believe. It looks so darn nice. It truly complements the orange lighting that I have going there, as well as the black finishing on the other side of the wall. It doesn't take a ton of area, and these things are quite expensive, by the way. Like, it cost me $300 here in Canada to get them for just about 240 centimeters of coverage in terms of width, but nonetheless, I think the quality is awesome and they really do bring that cool aesthetic vibe, which in my opinion justifies the cost. A huge quality of life upgrade for me was installing smart blinds, particularly the ones from Smart Wings. These guys are absolutely awesome. So on their website, you can pretty much configure every aspect of the blind that you're getting, from the dimensions to the shade, whether or not it's blackout, etc, etc. Once you order it and it comes to your house, installing it is also super easy, guys. Like, I mean, it took me a couple of minutes once you install the brackets and everything. Additionally, using it is even more simple. So I got the remote control version. You know, you basically just have up and down buttons and a stop button. You have multiple channels in case you have multiple blinds and you want to control them with a single remote control. I also appreciate the fact that just how quiet the motor is. The blackout shades here are perfect for my needs. I do a ton of recording and often there's a lot of daylight coming in, so they block out like 99% of all the light, allowing me to record in peace. And the SmartWing blinds have been a great experience, and I wouldn't call them a must, but they are a nice quality of life upgrade if you have the spare budget, so definitely something that I enjoy. Moving on to organization, let's start off with the Fangate Monitor Riser. This thing costs about a third of the price as some of the mainstream brands, but delivers the exact same amount of quality and, in my opinion, more compartmental value. It's got a ton of compartments to keep all your small and medium-sized accessories, a multi-level storage system. It can support up to 2 full-size monitors, so plenty of weight capacity, and the open system at the bottom allows you to put larger accessories like laptops and whatnot, and it's openly available at Amazon, so honestly, this thing was an instant sell for me. It's no secret that I do a ton of product testing on this channel, and I kind of want to have all my day-to-day tools at hand's reach. And the Nest V2 by Orbit Key is a great desk organizational kit. Essentially, I keep all my accessories in this thing for all my daily testing. It looks super stunning in that ash color. The high quality fabric material combined with the leather and mesh materials just give it that premium feel. But inside you've got a Velcro based divider system. You can fit all the accessories you want in any combination you want, and they'll firmly stay in place, and you can modify it as many times as you want because it's Velcro based. Also, as a nifty feature, on the top side of this thing, you can actually turn it into a wireless charger for your phone thanks to a USB-C port to which you can connect a Type-C cable. It's just really practical, it looks nice, and it gets the job done. I also want to give a shout out to extra wallets. While technically not a desk organizational item, I certainly do keep them on my desk all the time, and these things have all the right card slots and all the right places. You can stack up to 12 cards per wallet and still keep that sleek form factor, something that can't be said with most other wallets. They either compromise on card space or on the sleekness of the wallet, but over here you get to keep the best of both worlds, and they have metallic as well as leather designs. I've been a huge fan of their Parliament series personally. I'll definitely leave links in the video description below so you can check them out as well. Speaking of organization, I do want to mention directly above my desk, I do have the IKEA bookshelf shelf installed, which can be used for organizational purposes, though admittedly I'm using it mostly to store all my artificial greenery and my circle of life lamp for sheer aesthetic reasons. While we're already on the topic of IKEA, let's talk about my Scottish pegboard. I believe that's how it's pronounced, don't butcher me if it's not. There's probably only a handful of things that can make your everyday mundane accessories look so darn cool stacked vertically like this. It's just magical, honestly. With that said, 90% of the stuff you see on here I actually use on a day-to-day basis for B-roll testing or product testing and everything in between, except for Mr. One Punch Man there, who pretty much just one punches everything. Let's move on to accessories, which many would consider to be the heart of the content. Now, with that said, let's start with the Edifier M4Rs. So these speakers, or monitor speakers as they're often called, are lovely for two big reasons. Firstly, they come in white, which is perfect to add a little bit of contrast to my otherwise ultra black looking studio. Additionally, these are really good sounding speakers for the price they're at. It's hard to find high quality speakers on a budget, and that's kind of what you're getting here. They get plenty loud, there's a decent amount of bass, there's good depth as well, and also dialogue sounds pretty clear, and you've got a stereo speaker setup. Now granted, they won't sound nearly as good as some of the higher tier audio brands, however, they don't charge nearly as much either, and for my needs, whether it's productive or entertainment, they are more than sufficient and definitely have been a great companion to my monitor. Since I've already said the M word, let's talk about my Dell UltraSharp 4K 32-inch monitor. This thing has been mentioned in numerous videos before, and for good reason, because I've owned this thing for a solid 2.5 years now, and I have no intention of changing it in the foreseeable future. With a 100% DCI-P3 color rating, it's exactly what I need for my professional video editing needs, and it just looks really nice in general. The only downside is that it has a 60Hz refresh rate, but I practically never game on this thing, so that doesn't really hurt me in any way or form. And honestly speaking, guys, this thing did cost me an arm and a leg, but because I'm Lizard Man, I've regrown those since. But all jokes aside, seriously, it's paid off every dollar in value. I've said it before and I'll say it again, there ain't no better pre-built keyboard than Eufy's Halo series of keyboards. In particular, the Halo 96 here in white color is absolutely stunning because it contrasts nicely with the rest of my desk setup, but it's also as good looking as it is to type on, which is the perfect combination. It's got a nice RGB system. I made a full review on it. You can definitely check it out. I'll leave a link to that as well in the video description below. For my mouse, I'm using the generic Logitech MX Master 3S, and yes, it's basic, but this thing is so darn good. It's the best mouse for productivity. It lasts forever pretty much on a single charge, and the clicks are so subtle and silent. For my desk mat, I kind of fluctuate between using Beaver Tail's gray felt desk mat on lighter days, and then when I want a more dark ambience, I kind of swap it up with Dawn Tree's darker and larger desk mat, which provides a little bit more contrast. It just ultimately comes down to what I'm feeling in any given week. The least used accessory in my arsenal has to be my Teeny 2 4K OpsBot webcam. That's a long and fancy name, but the fact is I don't use this thing very often, and I've already made a ton of videos on it, so I won't talk too much here about it, but if you're looking for a ultra sharp 4K webcam that can pretty much track your face with AI, this is the way to go. But for the rest of you, a generic full HD webcam off Amazon will save you a ton of money and get the job done just as fine. The final accessory I want to talk about is the 40,000 mAh AOE Starship power bank. This thing is as friggin' epic as it looks. I mean, it's got a built-in digital screen to show you what devices you're charging with how much wattage and which ports are being used, but also it's got a enormous capacity for charging, so you can charge multiple devices multiple times. But I don't really use this thing as a portable power bank because of how friggin' chunky it is. Rather, I use it as a convenience measure when I don't want to go near my wall outlets. So rather, I just plug things in. Everything from a laptop to a cell phone can be charged, and just use this thing for days at a time because that's how little it needs to be charged. Lighting is everything. You can get by with a bad studio but great lighting, but you cannot get by with a great studio that has poor lighting conditions. With that said, let me start off with the Neewer P200 lighting panel. So I'm only showing one in my B-rolls, but the fact is I do own two of them. These things are great for a number of reasons. Firstly, they have a built-in control panel and a LCD screen that shows you the brightness levels as well as the temperature, so you can go all the way from 3200K up to 5600K in temperature, which is great for dynamic range. And also they get plenty bright at close range, and they are my primary B-roll lighting. These things have been around with me for about 2 years and they show no signs of giving up, and I bought them for about $160 as a twin set, so I think they've definitely lived up to every dollar that I've used on them. A lot of people ask about the fancy looking tube light that I have. This right here is the Godox TL60. Basically, it's a wireless or battery powered LED based tube light, and it has a full RGB palette. It's flicker free, which makes it great for camera or production purposes like I use it. It is a little expensive, but if you have a use case like that, it can definitely be a nice quality of life enhancement to the aesthetics of your video footage. On the outskirts of my pegboard is the Govee Glide light bar. This thing is a full RGB based light bar as well. It can be attached right to the wall through adhesives. The only color I strictly use it in is the color you see behind me right now, in that orange color, because that is the perfect tone to contrast against the black background. And this is probably my favorite piece of lighting hardware because it brings so much personality to the studio. Let's move over to my desk setup. So there's a few noteworthy lights here, starting off with the BenQ Screen Bar Pro. This thing is awesome because it's replaced the need to have any sort of desk lamp on my desk. It has intuitive touch captive controls right on the hardware itself. You can adjust the color temperature, you can adjust the brightness, you have an automatic mode and a proximity sensor and a few other nifty features. And like I said, this thing completely will replace the need for any other light source, and it also makes my desk look really nice with that subtle lighting. It can get up to 800 lux in total brightness. The rest of the lights I'm going to talk about are there mostly in an aesthetic capacity. So on the extreme corner of my work desk, I have the IKEA Teverhand lamp, and this thing has a really nice warm tone to it that brings a more vintage look to my desk, because otherwise it's quite bright with the LED lights, and this over here just brings a little bit more softness to it overall. Now on the shelf above, I do have the Circle of Life lamp by Art Digest. It's essentially a replica lamp of a more expensive lamp, and I gotta tell you, it looks almost as good as the real thing, and it just brings, again, that really nice subtle aesthetic look. It has multiple color temperatures and a number of other nifty features. And then finally, if I had $1 for every time someone asked me about this next lamp, I would have enough to buy lunch tomorrow probably. But the point is, this right here is the Oglight lamp. It's basically a LED filament that's magnetically levitating, and it's really cool because while it has zero luminance, it just adds a lot of aesthetical value to any area you put it on and just looks really nice in general. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is a wrap. I think I've covered pretty much every single item that I use on a regular basis. If there's something else that caught your eye and I didn't talk about, let me know in the comment section below. I'd be more than happy to let you know about it. Again, all the items talked about have links in the video description below, so you can check them out and purchase them from there if you wish. As always, if you enjoyed the content, make sure you hit that sub button and like this video, because it genuinely helps me grow and means the world to me and allows me to make more videos like this for you awesome people. Thank you so much for watching. Catch you in the next one.